The North Sea stretches endlessly before me. Its fast rolling waves a stark contrast to the chaos I left behind. I've come to seek refuge, a place where I can leave the past behind and find some measure of peace. I should have never done what I did. It's a lonely place, but also strangely beautiful. A world apart from everything I've known. The sound of ocean mixes with the hum of machinery, and every day is a chance to clear my head. That is, until that thing shook this oil rig on its foundations and unleashed some kind of elusive horror upon us. I must find a way out now. I have to get back to Suze and the girls. Oh God, I missed them.
I am so tired of fighting. I just want it to be over. I want you home, the girls want you home, but if you don't deal with this, then we are done for good. I love you, but I won't wait forever.
Hi gamer, and welcome to yet another look into one of 2024's greatest offerings. If there's any genre of games that I can always lose myself into, it's unnerving and unsettling horror games. I think narrative, atmospheric horror titles have come very far, and every so often I'm just blown away by the immersive worlds that are being built by some developers. The last couple of years, we've been spoiled with amazing horror titles, just as the recent Silent Hill 2 remake, which surprised the whole industry. Frictional Games' comeback with Amnesia the Bunker, and the subject of today's video, 2024's Still Wakes the Deep. But before diving into the depths of this experience, however, let's resurface for a moment to explore the pedigree of its creators and masters of atmospheric storytelling. The Chinese Room, nestled in Brighton, UK, is a studio that built their reputation with narrative-led atmospheric games. They've been pioneering immersive experiences with titles such as Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, Amnesia Machine for Pigs, and Dear Esther. With Still Wakes the Deep, they've once again crafted a compelling and atmospheric journey. You can truly sense how all their accumulated experiences converges in this short yet profoundly impactful game. So sit back, dim the lights, and let's dive into the depths of this hauntingly beautiful game and its overarching genre of horror. Horror games have long terrified players in a variety of ways, each exploiting our fears differently. Some horror games give you weapons to fight back, let's call them survival horror or action horror. Examples are some of the Resident Evil games and the Dead Space franchise, spearheaded by the recent remake of Dead Space 1. These games balance tension with empowerment, always giving you a feeling of progression through superior firepower. And then there's psychological horror, like Silent Hill 2 or the Amnesia series. These games burrow into the mind, crafting dread through unsettling atmosphere, environments, symbolism, and emotional depth. In Still Wakes the Deep, the horror is purely psychological and atmospheric, a chilling descent into isolation, where weapons are absent and survival hinges on hiding, running, and outsmarting an unseen cosmic terror. It's a game of hide and seek with dread itself, immersing you in a sense of helplessness that only grows as the story unfolds and every step isolates you even more.
Sunil. What the fuck happened?
In 2010, Amnesia the Dark Descent, developed by Swedish studio Frictional Games, redefined horror gaming by focusing on atmosphere, psychological tension, and vulnerability, creating a shift away from traditional horror mechanics. Instead of relying on combat or an abundance of jump scares, it used sound design, isolation, and a sense of helplessness to induce fear, setting the stage for a new kind of psychological horror experience. At the same time, the Chinese Room was carving its own unique path in the genre. After their breakthrough with Dear Esther in 2012, a game that forgoes traditional gameplay for emotional storytelling, they pioneered what people started referring to as walking simulators. A term that was used kind of in a jokingly way, but then became a genre in and of itself. With Dear Esther, they shifted the focus from action to narrative, creating an experience where the environment itself became a character, slowly revealing a fragmented and haunting story. This approach would go on to inspire many future psychological horror games, emphasizing narrative depth and atmospheric dread over typical horror tropes. Following Dear Esther, they collaborated with Frictional Games on Amnesia: Machine for Pigs, blending frictional survival horror expertise with the Chinese Room storytelling and atmospheric prowess. This partnership allowed for a more narrative-focused entry in the Amnesia series, blending the terrifying sense of isolation with a deeper, more existential storyline. The Chinese Room's influence continued to grow with Everybody's Gone to the Rapture in 2015, another haunting narrative-driven experience, which further solidifies their reputation for creating emotionally powerful atmospheric worlds. Together, these games helped shape the modern psychological horror landscape, where fear is culminated through story, atmosphere, and emotional immersion rather than traditional horror mechanics. The Chinese Room's legacy in this space continues to echo in modern games that emphasize atmosphere, narrative, and the unsettling quiet of the mind. So if you're the type who thrives on the tension of unarmed survival in horror games, Still Wakes the Deep will tap into something primal. It's a kind of experience that awakens an ancient part of your brain, sending shivers down your spine and prickling the back of your neck as you're hunted by the monstrosity so far removed from the natural world that it feels like a cosmic existential nightmare. The absence of weapons don't diminish the atmosphere, it amplifies it, forcing you to confront the terror head on with nothing but your instincts to guide you. Set on a secluded oil rig in the North Sea, the story unfolds around Cameron Cass McLeary, a Glaswegian seeking solace from his troubled past far from home. After a tense altercation with a man named Billy Chamberlain, which leads to a police investigation, Cass finds an unexpected lifeline. His best friend Roy, the cook on the Beira D oil rig, offers him a job as an electrician, giving Cass a chance for a fresh start amidst the calming, isolated waters. But as Cass settles into the rhythm of life on the rig, strange occurrences begin to unravel the fragile peace he sought. The isolation starts to weigh on him. What starts as a quiet retreat soon becomes a descent into terror, where both the environment and its inhabitants seem to alter and deform. The oil rig in Still Wakes the Deep isn't just a setting, it's a living, breathing character. Its steel corridors groan under the weight of the ocean, its machinery mumble with eerie persistence, and its narrow spaces amplify every sound into something ominous. An oil rig is a world unto itself, a floating micro-society isolated from the rest of humanity. Every crew member has a specific role to play, from engineers to drillers to cooks, and the success or survival of the whole depends on the delicate interdependence. Bonds are formed in the claustrophobic quarters, where personal space is a luxury, and routines are dictated by the relentless demands of the rig's machinery and the unpredictable ocean. This sense of community is both a strength and a pressure cooker. Small conflicts can escalate quickly in an environment with no easy escape. Being on an oil rig in real life is an incredibly challenging and grueling experience. Workers are often stationed in isolated, harsh environments for weeks or even months at a time, far from family and friends. The rig itself is a massive industrial structure, constantly exposed to the elements. Extreme weather, high winds, and the constant threat of the rough seas. The work is physically demanding and often dangerous, requiring workers to operate heavy machinery, manage volatile equipment, and ensure safety under highly stressful conditions. In addition to the physical toll, the mental strain is immense. Living in close quarters with a small group of people far away from civilization can feel isolating and mentally exhausting. The constant pressure of maintaining the rig's functionality, often under intense time constraints, adds a layer of stress that only those who've experienced it firsthand can truly understand. It's a job that demands resilience both physically and emotionally. In Still Wakes the Deep, the oil rig mirrors this reality, functioning not just as a workplace but as a fragile ecosystem teetering on the brink of collapse. The rig becomes a character in its own right, a hulking metal colossus that contains the echoes of its inhabitants' lives. It's a place of tension and camaraderie, order and chaos, where the balance is shattered by an unknowable terror. As the rig's micro-society crumbles, the player is left to navigate its eerie remnants, where every abandoned space tells a story of a life interrupted. The rig speaks not with words, but through its creaks, shadows, and the ever-present drone of its mechanisms. A haunting reminder that the ocean is both a provider and a predator. The characters in Still Wakes the Deep embody the very essence of an oil rig's micro-society, brought to life with immaculate voice acting that makes every interaction feel raw and genuine.
The sweet sound of Davy Rennick.
You think it's the Paulus?
Can't be surprised, Kaz.
They aren't just faceless co-workers, they're viscerally human, each carrying the weight of their own stories, fears and connections. These are people who live and work in close quarters, bound together not just by necessity, but by shared experience.
More cuts to get other rigs on the go. If we don't take industrial action soon, this place...
come on!
If we don't take industrial action soon, this place will be even more of a death trap than it already is.
He's got a point.
Need a hand there, fellas. McCleary? No, I can scalp in this here all by myself. No, we're all right. Cheers, though. Fair enough.
You want to transfer here, McCleary? You'd give me less lip.
You feel the bonds they've formed with every word spoken, every strained joke, and every panicked cry for help.
Can't hear you, man. Open the door. Trots, the door's blocked. I can't get to you. What's up, wee man? Are you hurt?
Their relationships are forged in the trenches, where the isolation of the rig and the relentless demands of the job leave no room for pretense. Thanks to the outstanding performances of the voice cast, you can hear the nuances in their emotions, the exhaustion, the camaraderie and sheer terror in every line.
That's oil. No, I do not want to go in there. Fuck. Christ. Fucking hell.
These aren't larger-than-life heroes. They're flawed, real, and relatable, struggling alongside in the face of unimaginable horror. The game uses their humanity to amplify the stakes. When you hear the fear in their voices or see their determination to survive, it makes the horror you're facing all the more tangible. It immerses you so deeply that you don't even see the characters as NPCs. you feel like part of their fragile ecosystem. This in turn makes the rig itself come alive, a vessel of human connection teetering on the edge of destruction.
I think I can get him out.
Aye!
Rafts, it's alright, we're getting you out. 2 minutes.
The gameplay unfolds at a steady pace, encouraging you to take your time and soak in the atmospheric details. One could call this a walking simulator, but like many of these games, it's so much more. You'll wander through the creaking, labyrinthine corridors and vast decks of the rig, soaking in the sounds. The environment is rich with detail, from the rusting metal to the distant calls of seabirds, drawing you deeper and deeper into its embrace. The graphics and sound design in Still Wakes the Deep masterfully transform the oil rig into a living, breathing entity. The visuals make the rig appear almost organic, with its flickering lights, dripping water and twisting metal structures, creating the illusion that it's contorting and distorting around you. Pipes groan like aching joints, corridors seem to narrow as shadows dance across their walls, and machinery howl and sputters with an almost animal-like rhythm. The sound design amplifies this effect, making every creak, hiss, and metallic clang feel deliberate, as if the rig itself is reacting to your presence. The ambient noises, like the distant crash of waves, the unsettling echo of footsteps, and the sudden roar of engines, play tricks on your mind, making you question whether the danger is near or simply the rig breathing. Together, the graphics and sounds create a disorienting, oppressive atmosphere where the line between the oil rig as a setting and the oil rig as a sentient force becomes hauntingly blurred. The music of Still Wakes the Deep is a brilliant fusion of traditional instruments and innovative sound design, where real strings and blow instruments are paired with an unconventional source of sound, namely a miniature oil rig made out of metal. The sound team and composer went to extraordinary lengths to capture the eerie industrial atmosphere of the game, even having a small-scale oil rig built to produce unique ambient sounds. This miniature rig was carefully manipulated to create the creaks, groans, and mechanical hums that mirror the life of the larger, towering structure. These sounds were then meticulously shaped and woven into the soundtrack, adding an extra layer of depth and immersion. The result is a haunting blend of real-world textures and unnerving otherworldly noises. The music doesn't just accompany the gameplay, it shapes the atmosphere itself, often merging with the rig's ominous creaks and ambient sounds of the environment to create a symphony of unease. Its pulse syncing with the soundtrack, amplifying the tension and fear that slowly builds as the story unfolds. Still Wakes the Deep is not without its flaws, but approached with the right mindset, it offers a captivating experience. While the game doesn't provide much in terms of intricate gameplay mechanics, and the platforming sections, though limited, can feel a bit clunky,
Jesus fucking Christ!
its true focus lies elsewhere. This is a game centered on atmosphere and immersion, a choice that occasionally slows down the pacing of both the narrative and the gameplay. Once the story concludes, replayability is minimal unless you're drawn to achievement hunting, which may not appeal to everyone. However, for those who value games that build a mysterious and immersive atmosphere, Still Wakes the Deep delivers in spades. Its concise runtime ensures the experience doesn't overstay its welcome, and the game remains a memorable journey from start to finish. If you can look past the limited interactivity and slower pace, you'll find a richly atmospheric adventure that's well worth the price and time invested. For me, its immersive storytelling and evocative world made it a standout experience I wholeheartedly recommend. Still Wakes the Deep is a masterclass in how atmosphere can define a horror experience. Personally, I've always believed that a well-crafted world can completely pull you in, and this game does just that. The depth of its sound design, the raw, visceral realism of the Ulrich, and the fully realized characters all come together to create an extraordinary journey. It's a short yet incredibly powerful adventure, one that demands not only your attention but your emotional and psychological endurance. The game pulls you in and never lets go, delivering an experience that is both intense and unforgettable. That's about it for this video. If you like what I do, just quickly hit the like and subscribe buttons, as it greatly helps me as a creator trying to do cool things on YouTube. It would mean the world to me. Have an amazing day, evening or night, and remember to always be kind to each other.